Anybody who's ever tried to buy a house knows that it's never plain sailing. Throw into the mix buying a property in a different country, not in your native language, and a global pandemic. Today I'm going to share a little bit about how the coronavirus has affected our journey to buy a property in Spain. Was that a bit crazy?
Yeah, it was a little bit crazy.
But was it exciting?
It was very exciting. We are now potentially property owners.
We just asked to put down the deposit. We're Danny and Kate. 5 years ago, we left the UK to start a new chapter of our lives together in Barcelona. We've enjoyed the busy city, sunny beaches and the snow-capped mountains, but it's time for a new adventure. We're on the hunt for a piece of land in the Spanish countryside to build an off-grid tiny house and start a homestead. Follow along as we build our dream life together. Of course, all of the well-known restrictions have applied. We were in complete lockdown for 8 weeks, not even able to go outside to do any exercise, and for 13 weeks, none of the bars or restaurants were open. That's when phase 1 started. So the pandemic really put a halt on anything that we wanted to do. We couldn't start looking, we couldn't start searching for properties other than using the internet. For us, the area that we wanted to look into was either further north of Barcelona or further south of Barcelona, around 2 hours either way. That meant that we needed to be able to travel, and with restrictions in place, we couldn't do that. Once the bans were lifted, we started to hire cars and travel out to the places that we were interested in to start viewing properties. We crammed as much as we could into each visit and trying to really get a feel for the place, the area, the region that we were looking at. In the end, we decided that we were most interested in the Baix Ebre. This is a region in the southernmost part of Catalonia where the river Ebro flows. If you haven't already seen our other videos and you'd like to look at the properties that we've been viewing, I'll leave the links in the description below. There's 2 different videos that walk through the 8 different properties that we've seen so far. On our second visit, we went to see 4 very interesting properties with the second estate agent that we'd been to visit. And by the end of the viewings, we'd really started to fall in love with one of the properties in particular. There were a couple of really interesting forerunners, but that one just had a little bit of an edge for us at the time. There's a whole load of terracing that goes all the way up here, all the way into the back there, across, right the way across here, all the way up this side, all where it's bancal, all the terraces, the bancales, that's all included, and also behind the trees here there's some more that you can't see just at the moment, and back to the house there. Nice big doorway, and the walls are pretty intact actually, and it's actually a 2-storey on this side because there's officially a little window in there, so very easy to put a mezzanine in there in this original building, or there's actually some walls on the other side indicating that the footprint is actually bigger. So the very next morning we got up and we went to go and visit the property again. We went for a second look around just to really get a feel for the place and check that it was somewhere that we were really interested in. It's Sunday morning and we are on our way to do a revisit of property number 4 from yesterday. We've been able to come back today just on our own so that we can have a little bit more of an explore around the property and see what the different sides of the valley look like and what the terracing looks like, etc. So we've driven across this morning. You can see in the background over there, we've parked up the car up by the house, and we're over on the other side of the valley now. So here on this side, we're just kind of exploring what this terracing round this side looks like, and you can see here is the kind of defining wall that goes up to the other side over here. So all of this on this side is the property, but everything on this side is not included in the property. So we're going to head on over to this side over here and have a bit of an explore. climbed up to the top of the ridge here to look at the view, and it is absolutely stunning. You can see behind here, this is the land that goes with that property, and then there's an absolutely stunning picturesque view all the way around of the mountains. Yeah, this is starting to feel quite exciting. We came away from that visit feeling really excited. This was a property that we really felt like we could get stuck into and turn into something really beautiful. With a little effort, we can farm the land, and that house could be something beautiful. Whatever property we take on is going to take a lot of work to renovate. We're not scared of that. So we thought this was a challenge we were really interested in. We decided that we wanted to put down the deposit. After waiting a little while to hear back from the estate agent, we started to get a little bit nervous. She was usually very responsive and quick to reply, and it felt a little bit odd somehow that she wasn't giving us the details for us to be able to give the deposit. Normally what you do is make a bank transfer of 10% of the value to secure the property. This is what we'd said we wanted to do, and we were just waiting to make that payment. We sat around nervously waiting for the response to come so that we could send the deposit. But we sat and we waited and we waited, and it still didn't come. Eventually we got a response about 2 days later saying that there was a bit of a problem, and unfortunately we couldn't take that property. The reason that we weren't able to put down the deposit was because this property was actually owned by an ex-husband and wife. One part of the party was here in Spain and the other half of the party was back in the UK. Upon contacting the party that was back in the UK, unfortunately, the other half here in Spain, she found out that he was suffering in hospital with coronavirus. We felt terrible. Not only did we feel awful for her and her family, we know they have lots of children and grandchildren together, but we felt gutted that we were missing out on this property. In Spain, when you make the sale of a property, anybody who's listed as an owner needs to be there to be able to sign the paperwork and say that they legally hand over the ownership of that piece of land or that house or whatever it is that they're selling. And without both people there able to do that, obviously he wasn't going to be able to travel over anytime soon, the sale could no longer go through. They weren't prepared to go ahead with selling the property right now in this situation. And of course, we completely understood that. Bye-bye, dream house at the end of the mountain track. So we're not really back to square one because we have a few options, but we now need to think about whether there are any of the other properties that we've seen so far that we want to reconsider. Before we actually went ahead with wanting to put down the deposit for the 8th property, the 6th property that we saw, so the second property on the second day, really was quite interesting to us. So we're going to take some time, reflect back, have a look at the land maps and really look at what's on offer from that property. There is another party interested, so we want to see whether that's something that's interesting to us and decide whether we'd maybe like to go ahead with that one instead. There's a lot of thinking to be done. So this is where it starts or restarts. We're still on our journey to buy a property in Spain. The dream is still there and we absolutely will make it happen. And hopefully by the next video we'll have an update for you. If you're interested in following along, then please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give us that big thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one. We just finished in the notary office. We have a piece of paper that says that that land is ours. I'm feeling pretty damn excited about it.
Landowners in Catalonia.